like to call a public session to order. I have the list. If you could step up to the podium, state your name and address, and try to keep it to 5 minutes. First is Sue Matthews.
Mayor, Councilman, my name is Sue Matthews. I live in Scriba. I own property in the city of Oswego. The city of Oswego is foreclosing on my property. There seems to be a myth that the landlords in this town are raking in much money and not using it to maintain their buildings. In the spirit of transparency, I am here to ask you to consider your decisions and how it affects myself and our community. About 35 years ago, I became a landlord. I invested my hard-earned money in the city of Oswego, along with my late husband, Joseph Clark, who was an accountant that owned control systems. He was a good number cruncher, and we made a detailed business plan before starting, and for many years provided decent low-income housing to many families and a reasonable income for our golden years. We worked 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day to completely renovate 9 apartments in 3 buildings inside and out. Back then, the only apartment inspections were from the HUD and social service caseworkers. The city started requiring apartment inspections, and we had no problem with that, other than it seemed wasteful to have 3 inspections for each place. We planned for inflation of costs and taxes, heat, water, and fees, but no one could foresee the unfunded state mandates that would, due to the water bills and taxes, and what 9/11 would do to heating and insurance costs. As we aged, we decided to sell the buildings by land contract to a friend that had already been helping with managing them. This also worked well for a while, but the profit margin was shrinking. One of our buildings was on Bridge Street, next to an old gas station, which had leaky underground gas tanks next to our property line. The city had foreclosed on it, and the DEC had charged them to correct the situation. We desired to site our building and install new windows, but there was no point in investing that kind of money until we knew what the DEC and the city determined to do. I questioned city councilors on the situation regularly, but it was all done behind closed doors, so we waited. This is one of the incidents that made me really appreciate Mayor Barlow's transparency policy. Every time we have been held back by lack of information and unreasonable waits for permits and been held up by lack of info, we lose another month's rent. So when the situation was resolved, we started citing. We were unaware of the new codes that had been put in place for what the city calls its historic district planning zone. A new city inspector showed up and put a stop work order on the job, and we had to knock off the whole crew until a hearing. The result was they ordered us to side the building, which is what we were already doing, just more time and money wasted unnecessarily. We weren't the only ones impacted by the economics. Social services had budget cuts and was not doing their job well. They contracted with Arise to assist some tenants that have disabilities to acquire living skills, and some of their workers were not doing their jobs well either. On occasion, we had to report tenants to child protection, and they weren't doing their job well either. Due to the budget cuts and the growing drug problems, child protection was overwhelmed. This generated an unusual amount of police calls and the point system that can cause apartment permits to be revoked. The growing level of poverty induced theft and scrapping, which cost me $30,000 in damage the day before a real estate closing on one of my buildings in Scriba. The scrappers used an axe to steal all the copper plumbing, wiring, chopping through the bathroom vanities and walls, and destroying water heaters and heating utilities. In another case, a tenant moved out and stole the furnace for scrap. Both reported to the police. In the second case, the city police did not even fill out a report. When we have had a particularly bad tenant, it takes at least 2 months to evict them, more rent's lost. We are required to pay a sheriff to deliver a 24-hour notice ordered by a judge to vacate. The sheriff goes to the door and he tells the tenants they can stay till the end of the month. Another month's rent lost. These are just a few examples that have impacted our bottom line. The last 5 years, there has been no profit, only expense. I mortgaged my home to pay $15,000 in back property taxes 2 years ago, so we wouldn't lose these buildings. We're in the midst of redoing 2 apartments at 155 East 3rd Street when the building fire occurred the night before Thanksgiving. The fire department did a great job, and we started to rebuild again. We got the permits, we gutted the fire damage out, tried to seal it up for the winter to begin work. The fire department came and inspected what we'd done and gave us the go-ahead to continue. One of the first things we wanted to repair was a small leak in the water main. We called the city to turn off the water. They said they had faulty valves, and 3 months passed while we waited for them to dig up the street and shut off the water. The house was unoccupied at the time and had a big X placed on it. During this time, until the present, the water bills have continued to arrive. No one seems to be able to stop them. The water department says they can't find the work order or any record of this, so these fees have been added to our back taxes. No one can even give me a breakdown of these costs that I do not owe, and the 12% interest on them. The county treasurer says he would have to hire another person to research this info, as the database is not set up for the new laws you have instituted. It makes it impossible for me to respond to the current county court foreclosure notice, which I have until June 24th to respond to. After the fire, a man expressed an interest in buying this building and made a lowball offer. We turned him down. He's the new building inspector, and ever since has been harassing us at every turn in seeming attempt to put us out of business and with the goals of personal enrichment. He has tried to get the power company to turn off the utilities in one of our rentals that houses several families for no apparent reason. I've already spoken with Amy Birdsall and the city attorney about his ethics, and thanks to the mayor's transparency, it has come to our attention that he's continued this week again. My associate's name and apartment address has appeared on the most recent list of code violations for unmowed lawn and unsecured vacant buildings posted on the mayor's Facebook wall. I liked it, Mayor. The tenant had already called and stated, "A city inspector knocked on my door. When I answered it, he started asking me questions about my landlord and if I had any problems with him and if he was a good landlord. I told him I had no problems, he was a good landlord. Then he was walking around the property snooping and opening the storage shed door and wrote something down. The lawn was mowed less than a week ago. He had no business being there. There was no complaints. He has no reason to be there disturbing tenants' privacy or even being on the property. If he continues to use his position with the city in this manner, we will press charges for harassment and trespassing. City inspectors should be giving notice to landlords and tenants so they can be present to address issues, not showing up on a whim." We managed to still operate through all these losses, even though I have been fighting cancer and my associate had a heart attack. As we recovered our health, we are planning to make payment agreements to pay back our taxes on the building that burned and invest the money to do the repairs. But we went to apply for a renewal of our building permit. We were told we couldn't receive a permit to do the necessary work because of the taxes and water bills that the water bills we don't even owe. The final nail in the coffin came when I received a letter from Amy Birdsall that our commercial rental status had been changed. The commercial status allows foreclosures in 2 years rather than 4, so that's why they're foreclosing on us now. The letter states that they can change our zoning under the abandoned use clause. Since the building has been vacant and we haven't applied for a permit, our zoning is now one-family residential. This is a false statement in the letter because we did try to get permits, but we were denied permits because we owe back taxes and false water bills. The truth is, Amy Birdsall said she would not grant us a permit because of this. She also said she would not do individual apartment inspections as they were completed, so we can't get them back on the books until they are all completed, and she would inspect them all in one visit. We can't work like that. So we have no choice but to let you foreclose, and the city will take possession of this building and receive no more taxes and probably end up paying $20,000 to tear it down. With the current zoning codes and enforcement, it is of no value to me or anyone else. We have paid well over $100,000 in property taxes on this one building over the years. Other taxpayers will have to pick up the difference now. One more factor that bothers me is the selective enforcement of these laws. Last week, a woman spoke at council of a house next door to her that is putting in apartments in a building that has been vacant for 3 years with no permits, and the same abandoned use zoning clause should apply. There's another one on West 4th Street, same story, empty for 3 years in bank foreclosure, and yet putting apartments in with no permits and no abandoned use zoning change. Another right next door to mine on 3rd Street, a former single residence / commercial business, now with illegal apartments, no permits, no inspections, and a 3rd floor with no fire escape. There are no winners here, not me, not the taxpayers who will pick up the tab, nor the city. As for the former tenants, where do they go? You will see more and more homeless. With 1 in 5 people in the city living below the poverty level, you are also charged with representing their best interests. Most of these people are renters. We can't afford repairs without permits. This impacts the whole neighborhood and the tax base. The delays in this process affect contractors, landlords, businesses, local building supply companies. Our season's complete outdoor work is short. The cost of permits also impact the poorest and adds to repair costs. I read an editorial in the Pal Times by Amy Birdsell calling our city HUD administrator a low-rent peddler. At the time, I suspected gentrification was on the way, and my worst fears have been confirmed. It's here. Thank you. I've made a copy for each of you and attached the letter with false statement on city letterhead.
Next speaker, Tracy DeCan.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I have seen quite a lot of familiar faces here tonight. Some of you may know me as the former county VFW commander for Oswego County. And whenever and wherever I might be able to assist veterans or their families, sometimes they have passed on, and their family members do need help, and they come to me for that. I'd like to thank Mayor Barlow and Chief DeCare for making an effort to hold informal meetings at Dunkin' Donuts. That's a good idea, and we need to see more positive ideas like that to make a difference. However, in the last year, I have heard more than a dozen complaints about OPD. from elderly, low-income households, disabled, veterans, and mentally disabled individuals. A lot of these people aren't aware of civics, how to help themselves, and really couldn't afford to even take the time to legally do anything about pressing problems. My neighbors, Jerry Trull and Miss Crystal Parker, are currently having to deal with a problem homeowner, which is their neighbor. Now, their family has multiple mental health and disability issues made worse by constant agitation and provocation with calls to OPD. When OPD shows up in response, the officers have laughed, joked, and shook hands with that neighbor, then verbally chastised and threatened Mr. Trull and Ms. Parker with arrest. Mr. Trull does have emotional and disability issues, and Ms. Parker is legally deaf, so you can understand how scared somebody would be with an officer showing up and not understanding really what's going on, which could be a small part of the problem. But they have chastised and threatened Mr. Trull and Ms. Parker with arrest in front of their children. The same Mr. Trull and Ms. Parker are in good standing with their landlord. Their landlord and maintenance man have been yelled at by phone and in person by the same individual. And to make a long story short, I would like everyone to try to remember to come up with those positive ideas and remember that urbanization, urban improvement for some, is gentrification to others. And a lot of people in our neighborhoods are, in effect, those that are most unable to help themselves. The point system, whereas property has so many calls on it, is being misused by more than just one landlord that I know of. And I'd like to go ahead and just point out that whenever this does come back up in the future, that there are a few unscrupulous individuals who keep calling to legally evict problem tenants, and I'm concerned that it's going to continue growing in our community. Okay? I'd like to go ahead and say sincerely, thank you for your time and for listening to me and giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
I'm Linda DeMasi from the Second Ward, and I'm here to talk about the Wi-Fi. I know there's a lot of conflicts with it. I would just like to say that I'm definitely for it. I did a lot of research, and especially with finding out we do have the money in the budget at the current time. And when you're looking forward, there's many reasons you can say that a lot of businesses have it. Will it really bring people downtown? The biggest thought that came to me when really thinking about it was, wouldn't it be wonderful? I go back to, you know, with generations, I go back to when I used a typewriter, not an electric one, you know, you were doing your own thing, to now it's hard to make change, but in the direction that we're all going into where we are, technology, it's not going to stop. You know, our kids don't play outside, they sit home and they do their games, their phones. Wouldn't it be great, and I know it won't at this time reach all the way up to Brightbeck or to the parks, but maybe it could be into consideration. Wouldn't it be great to see kids, college people, parents, young parents that are going to school, bring your kids to the park. They can sit out, do their homework, go downtown, get an ice cream cone. You know, you could bring more people out and about if we provided such a service. So I really hope that you take it into consideration what it could do for our downtown, and most importantly, moving forward with our new projects coming. You know, it's happening now. So Thank you.
Next speaker, James Early.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is James Early. I live at 320 West 3rd Street in the 5th Ward. And I would also like to speak in favor of the Y5 proposal. I would like to give a little slightly different perspective on it. I'm a professor of computer science out at the college, and I've been doing this now for about 20 years. And many of you who can remember 20 years ago the rarity of having networks in general, let alone public Wi-Fi, is a stark contrast to what we have today. And I've seen many organizations, many businesses, many schools, many communities move in the direction of providing this as a service. And let me try to explain why it is so important for a city like Oswego to think about doing such a thing. You will likely hear many reports tonight about various municipalities and businesses that have done this, and the increase in tourism, the increase in presence that that such a network provides. But let me talk a little bit about the economics involved. The reason that a business traditionally puts a Wi-Fi in place is because they find that when they have that service available, their customers linger, and when they linger, they tend to buy more things. That's exactly what we want to see in the city as well. When you consider the fact that we have a significant portion of the city's revenue is generated by sales tax revenue, everybody in the city who's a city taxpayer should be eager to hear about proposals that have the potential for raising sales tax revenue, namely by people visiting the city and buying things. So that's why I'm a proponent. I think, as my friend Linda spoke to a moment ago, we're in a different world where the expectation is that people will have access to information everywhere. And providing that sort of service here in the city makes this place a place where people want to visit and stay. And that's exactly what we want them to do. So, once again, I'd like to applaud the mayor's proposal, and I urge the council to consider it favorably. Thank you.
Next is Tony Poldine.
Good evening. My name is Tony Pauldine. I'm a resident of the 5th Ward in the city of Oswego. I'm here also to speak on the proposal to provide internet in the downtown. I think that it's a great progressive idea, and I've been asked by several people that have come up and said, gee, isn't this going to save you money? What do you pay for internet? I want you to know that in the Canal Commons lofts and in the Canal Commons for the about 30 vendors that we have in the building, it's not going to save us personally any money. That we need to have secure internet. Most of my vendors have to have it secure, and people that are downloading, let's say in the lofts, movies and streaming videos, they're not going to be burdening the city system. However, having internet in the downtown is brilliant, and I think that it will draw people into the downtown area for the areas that do not provide Wi-Fi. So to set the record straight, we're not going to be discontinuing. I think that the Wi-Fi proposal for the downtown would be in addition to what some of the vendors have in the downtown area. The most striking thing that I find is that the idea of bringing Wi-Fi to the downtown is very professional, it is progressive, and if it's indicative of what the administration is looking to do to energize our city and the downtown, I heartily applaud it, and I thank you for bringing the measure forward. I hope that it will have widespread support by the council, and I thank you for that. Thank you.
Next, Kevin Hill.
lot shorter than everybody else. Good evening. My name is Kevin Hill, and I reside at 175 East 5th Street. I am co-owner of JP Jewelers at 136 West Bridge Street, and I'm a member of the executive team of Shop Oswego, Live Oswego, or SOLO. The mission of SOLO is to promote, preserve, and protect independently owned businesses in the city of Oswego by encouraging residents to shop and live local. We work toward that mission by educating the public on the benefits of a strong local economy and by leveraging resources to collectively market local, independently owned businesses and encouraging residents to think solo when they make their business decisions. Approximately 50% of solo partner businesses are located in the area that would be directly affected by the Wi-Fi proposal. I've had several conversations with those business owners, and I would be doing my constituents a disservice if I didn't mention that there were some concerns with the proposal. The concerns were expressed passionately, but they were very limited, and the overwhelming response I received was in favor of the proposal. It's important that as you discuss the proposal, you listen to each and every voice and make a decision based not on emotion, but on the merits of the proposal and the potential impact it will have for the city. Downtown needs to be a destination instead of an artery through the city. It's amenities such as Wi-Fi that will encourage people to visit, stay, and spend downtown. There are over 7,000 potential customers on the northwestern border of the city, and too often we see those dollars travel from west to east without any consideration of stopping in the middle. There's a reason why international hotel brands, chain restaurants, and even big box retailers offer Wi-Fi to their customers. These are companies that have millions of dollars invested in research, development, and implementation of strategies that affect consumer behavior and increase consumer activity. These are companies that spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars reviewing site options for new locations. These businesses, but more specifically, the international hotel chains, have looked at Oswego and made the decision to invest in our city. The same investment strategies can be applied more generally in a municipal setting and help to affect a shift in consumer behavior, benefiting our local independent businesses, which benefits the entire city. If international corporations are willing to invest millions in our city, it seems only logical that we would be willing to invest thousands to make our city more attractive and to draw more people downtown. The public Wi-Fi proposal is simply not another expense. It's more accurately an infrastructure investment. Viewing the proposal as just an expense semantically negates the potential yield of public and financial benefits in excess of the cost. And although these benefits may be hard to measure, there's no question in my mind, in the minds of the majority of my constituent business owners in the downtown area, that this will strengthen downtown, which is the core of our city and the core of any thriving, sustainable economy. According to a survey conducted by IGR, availability of Wi-Fi increases foot traffic, increases time spent on premises, and increases the amount of money spent by customers. The potential impact of this increase downtown is notable because on average, 48 cents of every dollar that is spent at a local independent business is recirculated through the local economy, as compared to less than 14 cents of every dollar that is spent at a chain store. This is often referred to as the multiplier effect, and I fully support anything that can get more of our local dollars to stay local. During last week's committee meeting, there was discussion of the splash page where users of the public Wi-Fi would be required to sign in and accept the terms of use. What was not considered at that time was the potential for what follows the sign-in page. After a user accepts the terms of use, they could then be redirected to a landing page that could be a welcome on the city website or another page specifically designed for public Wi-Fi users. This landing page could contain information on city attractions, businesses, or services, or could be used to encourage tourists that are not familiar with the area to visit local museums, shops, or restaurants. This type of positive, yet compulsory promotion for the city could and likely would spur economic activity that generates revenue to help offset the cost to maintain the Wi-Fi system. I envision a downtown where each and every business has free public Wi-Fi prominently displayed for citizens and guests alike. Not only does it help to bring cohesiveness and economic activity to our downtown, but it shows that the city of Oswego is forward-thinking, where new ideas and technology are welcomed. There are so many opportunities on the horizon for the city. The Route 104 streetscape revitalization, the elevation of Fort Ontario and Safe Haven to national monument status, national historic landmark status, and recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the proposed Great Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary, and the potential to be awarded $10 million from the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, just to name a few. Oswego is a city on the rise, and we need to make the necessary investment to continue that positive momentum. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Heath Jones.
My name is Heath Jones. I'm with Create Studios and Friends of Oswego, but I think most of you guys already know that. I want to speak in favor of the Wi-Fi proposal for many reasons, much of the same reasons as the people before me have spoken, and Kevin, you did an amazing job. Before I go into the real, what I feel like the real reason is, I do want to follow up on the splash page because I think that that's an important piece of this. You're going to have something that gives people user terms and use and directions on that page. And while you can put events and even use that for advertising of different things that are going on in Oswego, you could also cultivate email lists for residents, for potential newsletters, or if visitors sign up for a special email list, then you could have that separately tracked for tourism information. So I just wanted to mention that really fast before I forgot. But the real reason I'm standing here is because one of the things that we do through Friends of Oswego is try to bring people together to do things, whether that's through Hands on Oswego and volunteer things, through events and getting people together in our downtown or in our parks to enjoy time on the waterfront together. All of those things are our focus areas of what we do. If we think about the boaters, and we had such a good time last summer on the riverfront and all the people gathering and spending time there, these are all things that we can enhance by offering these services. With that, when you bring people, most times you bring businesses because people will take that opportunity to make money off of it. So you're looking at bringing in new small businesses in town, or businesses offering new services, or businesses reaching customers through Bluetooth technology and beacons and things like that. So all these are very reasonable expectations of something like that. In addition, we want to be where people are. Like, you don't want to go to a restaurant and be the only people in the restaurant. You don't want to be the only people in a park. We want people gathering spaces. One of the things that we do through our intern program is, I think last year we had 10 interns, and we would go in downtown and make them experience different spaces downtown, and we would have brainstorming sessions with our college students. Most of the time, these students had never even experienced these spaces, didn't know that the inside of Canal Commons was there, or that the bistro was there. And with having Wi-Fi in these spaces, in the parks and in our downtown, we can do even more with things like that. And if you think of, these are 10 students now that have experienced these spaces, and then they bring their friends and they go to dinner. I mean, it's just ongoing. So I'd like for you guys to encourage, not just this proposal, but what things can we do to continue to bring people into our downtown spaces? Because that's really where the potential is here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Paul Stewart. Most of you know I direct the ORA, Oswego Renaissance Association, and I just wanted to show up in support of downtown Wi-Fi. For a number of reasons, after hearing the statements that were made by my predecessors, I had to sort of change everything because I don't think I could build on the case as well as they did. So I'll speak just more broadly. You know, one of the reasons why the ORA is being as successful as it is in the city is because we use a strategy that is very much like what this proposal is. We asked our neighbors initially to make very small investments, and that's what we asked them to do, so that as those investments are made, other people see that those investments are going on and those investments grow. Okay? So by last year, we reached over $1 million in private capital in the neighborhoods we work in. By the end of this year, we'll have gone past $1.5 million. But it requires that we ask our neighbors to invest. This proposal here for downtown Wi-Fi is a simple request to ask the city to make an investment in its future, but a small one. So I guess it's some amount per month, but I did the calculations. I spend $6,000 a year in taxes total, school, county, city, library altogether. Based upon the proportion that this would be out of the total budget, it's going to cost me $1 a year for this service. So whether I spend $5,999 a year or $6,000 is not an important variable. I'd love to see this council and this mayor make this positive move to take that dollar of mine and invest it in growing value. So thank you for your consideration.
You'll have to wait. Mark Tesorio, 54 West 5th. I just want to speak on behalf of the Wi-Fi. I think it's a perception issue. One of the things that I've tried to do since I came back to Oswego 4 years ago is present the town in a better light. And when I came here 4 years ago, you know, people would come to visit and be like, oh, it's still a dump. It's gotten better. And one of those perception things could be when people come to town and they see, wow, Oswego has Wi-Fi, it's really coming along. So I think it's worth investing. Other people have, you know, spoke to the economics, but I think from a publicity standpoint or, you know, just the perception people will have of Oswego when they come, it will make a good perception for people. That's all I would say.
Thank you. Miles?
Gentlemen, Mayor, thank you for letting me come up here and talk to y'all. The Wi-Fi, I remember when Terrence Hamill had the Thomas O'Day action here for $660,000. I think this is quite the bargain here, by the way. It brings the city out of the Stone Age. There's more than I can say for Thomas O'Day when he went over to the Canadian city there, I forgot the name of it, whatever it was. He tried to find out what would make this city better, and he came up with nothing except gates over there at the railroad bridge and some onion factory out there in 104. This would help the bagel shop come out of the Stone Age. Please make sure they get all kinds of information down there, because I know that Mr. Atkins is desiring optimism instead of worrying about some fence being taken down, instead of some ethics committee. And what else can he say? Okay, that was the one point. Thank you, Kevin. Okay. This water contract is not done yet. It's up to you guys. I was wondering the other day if Metropolitan pays for the water coming out of the Skaneateles Lake. You tell me it's 3% and it's 50% out of here. It doesn't make any difference. All I want to know is if they're still paying for the water out of Skaneateles Lake. Now, I got these figures given to me in yellow. Thank you for being emphasis here. $257 million in 2014. I hope you guys have already seen this. Okay, this should not be shocking stuff here. Ask Hamill. 2015, $265 million. Now, you see, the thing is that gets me most of all about all this, when I stood up here by myself and there was nobody around here except that group there in that picture who sold this city out. Now, this may get old, and it could get older, okay? But I think that what this ought to be done here is that we ought to tell them down there, look at, this may be your watershed from Utica to Geneva, but it still has to travel through the city, the river, okay? It still has to be taken care of. The water, under my understanding, is still being pumped south, and you taxpayers here are paying for it, and Metropolitan is paying nothing. Nothing. Okay? $20 million over 20 years is what Metropolitan paid for it and made $220 million off it. I'm just trying to figure out how much of a hog can you be? How greedy can you be? And I think what we ought to do is go talk to them. I threatened them 5 years ago, Metropolitan, with a bunch of foils, and you know what they told me? They threw the flag up in a hurry. What do you want? What do you want? I said, I want what you're making off us right now. Okay? I didn't get the full answer, but you know what? I scared them enough. They were afraid of me. I don't blame them. Look it, we're getting screwed here. I hate to put it that way. Mr. Caracoli, thank you very much for this information. Okay? And you, Pal Times, make sure you mark that down because the judge was waiting for me to be quoted, okay? Who signed my petition? Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak during the public session? Seeing none, I'll adjourn the public session, call the meeting to order. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
His Honor the Mayor.
Here.
Counselor Reynolds.
Here.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Here.
Counselor Emmons.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Gozick.
Here.
Counselor Van Buren.
Here.
Counselor Corradino.
Here.
All are present, Your Honor.
Thank you. A few items under the mayor's report. I have a proclamation naming June 20th to June 26th Amateur Radio Week. My understanding is there'll be an event at Fort Ontario June 25th and 26th for all those amateur radio operators out there to come and celebrate Amateur Radio Week. So the proclamation reads, whereas amateur radio operators are celebrating over a century of the miracle of the human voice broadcast over the airwaves, and whereas amateur radio has continued to provide a bridge between peoples, society, and countries by creating friendships and sharing the sharing of ideas, and whereas amateur radio operators have also provided countless hours of community service both in emergencies and to other local organizations throughout these decades, and whereas these amateur radio services are provided wholly uncompensated, and whereas the state also recognizes the services amateur radio's people provide to our many emergency response organizations and local and government-served agencies, and whereas these individuals have further demonstrated their value in public assistance by providing free radio communications for local parades, bike-a-thons, fairs, and other charitable public events, and whereas the City of Oswego recognizes and appreciates the diligence of these hams, who also serve as weather spotters in the Skywarn program of the U.S. Government Weather Bureau, and whereas the ARRL is the leading organization for amateur radio in the USA, and whereas the ARRL Amateur Radio Field Day exercise will take place on June 25th and June 26th, 2016, and is a 24-hour emergency preparedness exercise in demonstration of the radio amateur's skills and readiness to provide self-supporting communications without further infrastructure being required. Now, therefore, I, William J. Barlow, Jr., Mayor of the City of Oswego, do hereby officially recognize and proclaim June 20th to June 26, 2016 as Amateur Radio Week in the City of Oswego, dated June 13th, 2016. Also under the Mayor's report, I have an updated schedule and criteria for to all city residents regarding pickup of brush from the city. Obviously, the notice will be posted on the city website. We'll try to send it out with press in the coming week here. But just a couple updates. Monday is south of Utica Street, west side of the city. Tuesday, between Bridge Street and Utica Street and College area, west side of the city. Wednesday, north of Bridge Street, west side of the city. Thursday, south of Utica Street, east side of the city. Friday, north of Utica Street, east side of the city. A couple changes. We'd like, obviously, the brush and anything you have in the bags to be put in not clear garbage bags, but actually brown degradable bags so that we can just pick them up easier. We can be much more quicker, pick up more things in one day. Like I said, do not put the bags or pails in the road. We prefer to have them just off the road. And also, if there's uncontained yard waste and debris, we will not pick it up. So make sure it's in bags and off of the road. Last item. Any questions on that? Call the DPW 315-342-4212. Last item under, well, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for the victims of the incident that happened in Orlando Saturday night and Sunday morning. So if we could just have a moment of silence. Thank you. And that's all under the mayor's report. Do the councilors have anything to report? Seeing none, I'll have the clerk call Resolution 194.
To approve the minutes from the Common Council meeting held May 23, 2016.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 195.
To approve the Commissioner of Deeds.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 196.
To approve the use of public space, George Baldwin, owner of property located at 106 East Seneca Street, in order to construct a porch.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Corradino. Any comments? Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes, I'd like to offer the following amendment to the resolution 196 and urge its adoption. Amend the first resolved paragraph to read as follows. Resolved that permission is hereby granted Mr. Baldwin to use the aforementioned area of public space upon condition that he construct a shed roof for the covered portion of the fort. And be it further,
Second on the amendment, Counselor Van Buren. Will clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes to amend.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes to amend.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call the amended resolution.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 197.
To approve the use of public space, Cynthia Burns, owner of property located at 115 East Cuga Street, in order to install a fence.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 198.
To approve the use of public space, Gina Lyons Alley, owner of property located at 770 West Mohawk Street, in order to install a one-car parking area.
Counselor Gozick, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Resolution 199 and 200 have been pulled. Will clerk please call Resolution 201?
To approve the use of public space, Greg Peddle, owner of property located at 69 West Van Buren Street, in order to construct a porch.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor McLaughlin. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 202.
To approve the use of public space, Dane Spicer, owner of property located at 293 West 2nd Street, in order to install a two-car parking area and apron.
Counselor Gozick, Counselor Corradino. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 203.
To approve the use of public space, Julianne Stanka, owner of property located at 26 East 6th Street, in order to install a fence.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 204.
To approve the use of Brightbeck Park for the Walt Julian's World event to be held on Sunday, June 26, 2016.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
No.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 6-1.
Clerk, please call Resolution 205.
To approve the use of Brightbeck Park for a wedding to be held on Saturday, September 24th, 2016.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please. Counselor Van Buren.
I'd just like to wish the couple luck. Tomorrow will be 8 years since my wife and I got married in Brightbeck Park, where we had our first date. So I wish them good luck.
Very good. Romantic. Anything else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds? Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 206.
To approve the use of storage area at the International Marina by the Oswego High School Sailing Club.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds? Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 207.
To approve execution and installation of the Oswego Springboard Mural Project on the Oswego Riverwalk West.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 208.
To authorize the mayor to sign change order number 1 with Patricia Electric for project modifications to the Eastside Wastewater Treatment Plant Generator Replacement Project.
Counselor Van Buren, Counselor Corradino. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 209.
To authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Sean O'Gorman for nuisance wildlife trapping.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Before we read Resolution 210, I need to kick it to the city attorney for a point of business.
Thank you. With respect to Resolution 210, it appears that despite a full discussion last week before the Administrative Services Committee, that committee failed to take formal action on the mayor's proposal to implement the Wi-Fi service downtown. Now, the way to remedy this apparent oversight, which I interpret as harmless error under our council rules, is to exercise Rule 7, Roman numeral 7 of the Common Council rules, and waive the rules that would otherwise state that the committee's favorable or unfavorable recommendation must come out of a committee and onto the floor of the Common Council. So this would be a motion to waive the rules and place this matter before this council. The reasons, at least in my opinion, for the waiver and why this is harmless error is that this issue was fully discussed at the committee level. The matter was placed on the agenda and circulated to all of the members. There is no no surprise certainly here. The topic has received widespread attention, particularly in the media. And it will be, I suspect, fully debated this evening, and a decision will be made. So for all those reasons, I would recommend that Resolution 210, that the rules be waived to allow Resolution 210 to be placed before this full Common Council for debate. Yeah, so I think it would require a motion and a second.
Councilor Emmons. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 210.
To authorize the mayor to enter in an agreement with MCI Communication Services Incorporated for the implementation of Wi-Fi throughout designated areas of downtown.
Councilor Reynolds, Councilor Emmons. I really can't sum it up any better than some of our speakers did. I think they spoke really about the impact it'll have on downtown foot traffic, on assisting our local small businesses, on trying to make our downtown more modern, more attractive. The one part I'd like to speak to that I failed to highlight appropriately last week, I think, is the ability, and I saw this actually firsthand when my business was working in Fairport 2 weeks ago, and it's the ability to allow our residents or visitors to capitalize on using this Wi-Fi and having access to free public Wi-Fi, which I think in 2016 is nearly a right, is the ability to go downtown and be able to hang out in Civic Plaza or hang out in West Park, which it'll reach West Park, to hang out on the Riverwalk and be able to actually lay a blanket out or hang out downtown and take advantage of some of the facilities we have that I think we all agree are underutilized. Another situation I kind of failed to highlight, and this is what I saw in Fairport, was the ability that boats that come through the canal on the east side, this will be able to reach the east side canal area, for the boaters to be able to take advantage of the Wi-Fi. If you tie up in the river, you can take advantage of the Wi-Fi. Like I said, I was working in Fairport, and I overheard, I had already pitched this before that weekend, but I overheard, ironically enough, a boater was on his boat, in Fairport has village-wide Wi-Fi, by the way. I heard a boater say, to his friend who was on the boat, "Come on, let's go, what are you doing?" And the person said, "I'm working." And the guy said, "You're not working, let's go." And the guy said, "I have Wi-Fi, I'm working." And that's just an isolated incident. It's a small example, but it happened, and it happens. And it's time that we join the rest of modern municipalities, and the question will be, well, who around here does it? Well, I don't think a lot of people around here do it. That's probably why we were on every Syracuse news market and TV channel, and it garnered such press because the city of Oswego was in the press for something positive, not losing sports, not a tax increase, not whatever we're usually on the news for, but it was positive because it makes us unique. It shows that we're actually making an effort to attract people downtown, and I see downtown businesses investing. I mean, it's something as small as a flower box that they took upon themselves to put out in front of their storefronts. I appreciate that, and I'm glad they do that, and I'm glad the ORA takes the time to invest in our neighborhoods the way they do. And the question is, at least what I heard during the campaign and what I hear from small business owners and what I hear from folks involved in the ORA is, what is the city doing to help that? And I think this is a proposal that is nothing short of helping small businesses who don't already have Wi-Fi. It's a matter of helping residents that maybe want to come downtown and need a reason to just hang out. Maybe they aren't going to go in a small business downtown, but they need a reason to come spend an hour when it's nice out. And that's what this proposal is all about. It's about bringing us together, taking advantage of what I think is a very nice downtown that has a lot of momentum, and quite frankly, if we think this is a complete waste of money and nobody else is doing it, and why are we wasting our time talking about it? It was a point that I was disappointed to not be able to check off when we were working on Governor Cuomo's downtown revitalization initiative, and it says in the application, does the public have access to Wi-Fi downtown? That means that Wi-Fi downtown is part of criteria that I didn't decide, that New York State decided, that makes a downtown vibrant, relevant, and worth investing in. So they're the reasons that, in addition to embracing our SUNY community, which I think will appreciate this initiative very much, those are some of the reasons why I believe in this initiative. Just a point, I don't want to take Councilor Emmons' thunder, but he made a great point, and the speakers made a great point about the landing page. That's certainly something I'll look into and hope to implement. And Councilor Emmons also talked about, had the nice idea of advertising, allocating a small amount of money to advertise so that folks know we, in fact, do have Wi-Fi, and I think that's a worthy cause, and I'll work with him, and he'll actually spearhead that effort and make sure we are adequately taking advantage of what I hope you support, and which is, in my opinion, is nothing short of an additional amenity to the public. So with that, I'll take questions or feedback from councilors. Councilor Goza.
Yeah, I would like to again applaud the mayor for his progressive, forward-thinking initiative here. One of the things I would like to just pay lip service at least to some of my constituents. I've heard some here tonight, Tony Pauldine, Jim Early. I received a letter from Bob Ruggio, a neighbor of mine. I'm all in favor of it. I have heard some negative feedback, but I think a lot of it comes from misunderstanding, and I think there's a generational divide to a certain extent, obviously, but I think most of the negatives I've heard, people thought it's going to make their taxes go up. Why should they get it free? It's going to lead to, how should I put it, less desirable elements of the community, congregating downtown rather than having a negative effect. But I've got to be honest, I heard a lot more positive feedback. And so what I would like to say, if I don't mind, could I read one short quote from the letter I received? Sure. Bob Ruggio would have liked to have been here tonight. He compared the investment made in Chattanooga, Tennessee to what we're doing here in Oswego. Okay, and they invested $232 million in their public Wi-Fi. We're talking about approximately $30,000 here. But he said, as you know, downtown Wi-Fi is not a bleeding-edge technology. It's a safe investment, yet it is new and forward-thinking. It is transformational to a downtown. It stimulates economic development in ways we won't know for 1 to 5 years until we gather analytics around the use, study patterns and outliers, and watch downtown thrive in parallel to other investments. When the city invests in itself, the people respond by investing in their city beyond their current tax dollars. It's positive. I also received an email from Community Development Director Justin Rudgick, looking at other municipalities of our size, 40,000 and under. And when you look at it in New York State, if I'm not mistaken, I only seen 3 other municipalities, New York City, Albany, and Binghamton. It's definitely a perception matter, I think, as Mark pointed out. Mark Tesoriero pointed this out. So what I wanted to say, basically, is I think it's a good thing. It's going to stimulate economic development. Having access to public Wi-Fi downtown makes Oswego more attractive to potential developers, to young professionals, to the college community. And again, we're promoting a business-friendly environment, something Oswego has lacked, at least from what I've heard on the street, for a long time. So again, I'd like to commend the mayor, and I think that I encourage the council to see this as an investment, hopefully for the near future, but the long term as well, to make Oswego a 21st century city. And so again, I really applaud the progressiveness, and I hope Oswego will be seen as such in the future after this passes.
Other comments? Councilor Walker.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea what you're doing. But I'm here representing the constituents of the 4th Ward. They all came to me, well, not all, the most came to me today, well, past week. They do not want it. Reason for it. They're elderly people, pay taxes. Why should they pay taxes for downtown businesses? I think it's a great idea personally. This time and day and age, works out great. But now, in our situation, the city is in, I don't think it's a good idea, personally. So I'm going to have to stick by my constituents, and I'm going to have to not support this, I'm sorry.
Councilor Reynolds.
I definitely hear what you're saying, and I've had some concerns with that as well. I believe that with all of the things that we've had to raise, the water bill and taxes, and I think this is just one small thing that we can give back to the community, our downtown, and I'm happy to hear that it'll reach West Park and other parks as well.
Councilor Cordino.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot of thought, a lot of people. Sean did, got some feedback from residents. I'd have to say that it was split 50-50 with a lot of my constituents. Let me first say, I think it's a great idea. I applaud you for being a forward-thinking administrator. I just have some issues with the way this was done. 1 week ago today, this was presented to the Administrative Services Committee under discussion. And something's important. This wasn't just a bench at Brightback Park. This was a long-term commitment. 3 years, according to the contract I have in front of me, Verizon is asking for us to make a service commitment of 36 months, 3 years, which is going to be over $90,000. And I don't know about anybody here, but when I buy a big ticket item, whether it's a car, refrigerator, something, I usually go out and get more than one price. And I think that spending this kind of money, we should at least do our job and put this out for a request for proposal, because I take it very seriously spending the citizens' money. And without going out to bid, how do we know that Verizon is the best? How do we know that Verizon has given us the best price? How do we know that they're giving us the most bandwidth? They're offering 36 months. It's almost like they're dictating to us that it's 36 months or nothing. Maybe AT&T or some other provider can give us more bandwidth, a shorter term. That's the other issue I have with this 36 months commitment. I think this is a great idea. I envision, let me put on my Jules Verne hat for a minute here and tell you that I think that this is going to be something that is going to be widespread throughout the country. We're going to we'll probably see free Wi-Fi in this country before we see flying cars. But the point is, at this point, it's uncertain for the city of Oswego, and I don't feel comfortable in making a 3-year commitment. What happens if after a year we decide there's not enough bandwidth, it's not working out, we're locked into a $90,000 contract for 3 years, and I just don't want to handcuff the taxpayers with that. To your point about the Village of Fairport, Mayor, I've been to Fairport, and I can probably predict that they don't have a consent decree problem. Fairport is a suburb of Rochester, New York, as most people know. And Fairport is a quite affluent area. They've got Xerox, they've got Bausch & Lomb, they did have Kodak. They probably have a lot of retirees from Kodak there. But the point is, they don't have the issues of the financial burden the city of Oswego has. And I think that's wonderful that a small village like Fairport with the canal going right through it is great. They have a railroad going through it too. But I don't see us comparing that well to the Village of Fairport. They don't have a consent decree. Councilor Gozick had quoted Bob Ruggio. He had emailed you as well as everybody else, and he also called me as well. And I brought these points to him as well. And one of the things that he brought up to me, now he is a technology guy. I have to admit, at my age, I'm not. And again, that's a generational thing. But with that said, talking to Bob Ruggiero, who is a nerd in that respect, he told me that we'd be foolish to sign up a 3-year deal with a service provider. Number one, the technology is changing so quickly. We all know that 10, 15 years ago, did we have even, well, we have to go back farther than that. We didn't have cable 30 years ago, and then we didn't have internet until 20 years ago. And he's saying there's new technology in Wi-Fi technology called Z-Fi, which was using lasers for Wi-Fi, which is going to give faster, more bandwidth. So I'm just pointing these things out that there are more questions than answers tonight that I have. And I just don't see what the rush is. I understand that it is the middle of June, and this proposal, as written, is probably going to be used the most during the good weather. We all agree, the mayor has pointed out several times about people going down to Linear Park, putting the blanket out. Well, they're not going to do that in January or February. So I see this as something that's going to be used mostly during the good weather. And again, it's the middle of June already, and if we were to table this, it would probably delay it at least 2 weeks before that happens. But what's the rush? Why not contact other providers? Why not put out a request for proposal? How about looking into asking our esteemed director, Justin Rudgick, how about reaching out to the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board? I know that we had a meeting recently with them, and I was amazed at what a resource this is. Most people in this room don't know what they do, but I got a big education sitting there. The tone of the topic of the meeting was they could help municipalities help in converting to solar. Now, they also help with financing for communities. And my question is, did we reach out to them and ask them, are they offering any initiatives or help in converting cities to Wi-Fi or having Wi-Fi? Did we do that? There's a program that National Grid is offering right now. This is a little off the topic, but it does go to asking questions. National Grid is offering a conversion program for municipalities to convert their street lighting from the traditional vapor lights to LED lighting, which is going to be cheaper in the long run for the city. There are upfront costs, but the point is they're offering some incentives. They're offering a program. Are there any grants for this type of deal? We haven't asked any of these questions. I just feel we're being rushed to judgment, rushed to vote on this. And again, I agree, this is the future. I'm the second oldest on this council, but I can see the value in this. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I think it would be great to have the city of Oswego in the headlines on all the local TV stations in Syracuse saying, local area community votes Wi-Fi for downtown. That would make a great headline. I'm sure Ben would like to write that headline. You get the front page, Ben. But just because it makes good PR, does that mean it's a good decision for the city and for the taxpayers? I'm going to vote no, only because I think we should wait and have more discussion on it and look into this. Thank you.
Well, Counselor, I appreciate your points. I'll note that when I was a counselor, I went and found answers. I didn't wait for the answers to arrive. You've known about this for 11 days, because it was in your packet last week, and my press release was a day before that, so that's 11 days. I actually have, you're going to have to remind me of some of the questions, but I have a lot of the answers that apparently you've been asking yourself the last 11 days. And your first question was, why didn't we go to RFP? Number one, it's professional services. We don't have to. The real reason is all of our business, at least with our phones in city government, our tablets with code enforcement and OPD, and our cell phones are with Verizon. So naturally, we looked at Verizon, and actually Verizon was in below the state contract price. So for you to characterize it as a bad deal, I'm not sure what you're comparing it to say it's a bad deal. Particularly, you don't know this, I guess, but when it's below state contract. We could have looked at Time Warner. Quite frankly, the issues with Time Warner are part of the reason why this came up, because Time Warner was jacking the price on us at the marina, so I cut the cable to the marina. I put Wi-Fi down at the marina for 2/3 of the cost. That's how we're getting some of the money to do this. It's all within budget. And the boaters have been happy with the Wi-Fi service. They like it more than the cable service. So that's why you mentioned AT&T. I suppose we could have asked AT&T. I don't see their prices coming in much less, considering we're under state contract, below state contract. Talk about early termination. I have that answer too. All you have to do is ask. We can do, and you don't have the contract in front of you. As part of the discussion was to get some of the direction from the council on what we want to do. We can do a 2-year agreement, is the smallest they'll do. However, the price per month goes up significantly per month. So it would be a better deal in my eyes to just commit to 3 years. But if you want to pay more per month for less time, we can do that. That's fine. And I'm happy to listen and work with you on that. You talked about early termination. I looked that up too. Mike Riley, I'll just say, not just to Councilor Cordino, but all the councilors, Mike Riley in the purchasing office is a great resource outside of the purchasing protocols we have. You can stop in his office anytime, ask him any questions. I know no counselor has been in there to ask him about this, because I ask him. I ask him every week if any counselors come in and ask any questions. Mike Bonney's the IT guy. He sits right over there. He's here every day. You can ask him questions. I know you mentioned speed and some other things. Nobody asked him any questions either. I know that because I asked. Early termination. We can do early termination. However, the penalty to early termination would be that we have to pay 35% of the remaining balance of the term that we didn't fulfill. So that's your answer there. I'm not sure what other ones you had. Technical support. Talking to Mike, he's the IT guy. He's smarter than probably all of us put together on this stuff. I consult with him about what would be adequate, how many portals we need. I can tell you when I propose things, I don't just pull it out of the air and say, this is good, let's do it. I typically do my homework. Counselors, you should know that if you come in and talk to me before a meeting or anytime during the week. Typically, I do my homework and I'm pretty thorough. He has 100 megabytes per second, I guess is what Mbps stands for. And to put that in perspective, I guess, if I'm not sure I totally understand it, but coming into City Hall, we use 50 megabytes per second. So 100 megabytes per second with 3 portals. Another thing I'm open to discussing further is our boundaries, which I asked at the committee meeting, with the exception to Councilor McLaughlin. Nobody's come back and really established the real boundaries we want, so I guess we'll stick with 3 portals. With 3 portals and this sort of strength, which the price is based on strength. We can bring the strength down. It can be cheaper per month. We can bring the strength up, or the speed up, I should say. It can be more expensive. We had that discussion, Mike and I. We feel that he feels this is adequate. We feel it's sufficient. And that's where we came up with this price and this speed. I'm trying to think of any other questions you asked that I have the answer to. And I'll just say, I mean, I knew the topic would come up, and it's really the same argument we faced with the city website. And there's a notion, or at least there's an easy argument to make, I guess, that if we're focusing on one thing, we must not be focusing on anything else. That means I propose Wi-Fi, so for the last 11 days, my focus has been Wi-Fi. And it's just not true. And I can understand how the public who doesn't follow along week to week maybe could understand that or try to gravitate towards that point. But counselors who are here every week, and I think most of the public who are here every week, should know better. We've executed what I think is a realistic strategy with the water and sewer rates. The water and sewer rates went up in December. Okay? Most of us weren't here or weren't in the seats we're sitting in. We came in, we laid out a plan applying for grants we were never allowed to apply for, which took some work. We introduced a commercial water rate that you helped me with, Councilor Corradino, and we are working. It's not going to be fixed overnight. It took, my lifetime in the making to get us to this point, and we're working on it. So we can use the example of potholes, which is my favorite. I mean, if we're going to stick to, maintaining what we have and focusing on potholes, then let me know, and we can go out and count potholes and forget the rest and keep everything the same like it's been for the last 10, 12, 15 years. But when I went door to door, and by the way, the next resolution, talking about potholes, you're authorizing over $600,000 in paving projects, which is more than has been done in recent years. So I think that's a priority too. But if we can only focus on one thing at a time, you have to let me know. But when I went door to door all summer, people talked about the potential that we have that we don't take advantage of. People don't visit downtown. People don't use the waterfront. People drive right on through. Well, if we just stick to maintaining what we have and counting potholes and talking about the water and sewer rates, and we don't do anything else, that's what's going to continue to happen. The brain drain this community scene will continue to happen. If we don't want to think outside the box, do anything new, do anything innovative, do anything to modernize, then we can continue to watch our residents and the employees at Novellus and the employees at Exelon and the employees at Oswego Health. They can continue to live in Baldwinsville. They can continue to live in Radisson. They can continue to do all those things. If that's the track, and we're going to fixate on potholes, which I think we're taking care of. It's never going to be quick enough, but I think we're taking care of it. And I think the public realizes that too. So, with that, that's, I guess, my rebuttal to some of the things I've heard this week. I mean, I'll say that for all the counselors that get calls, the feedback that I've received has been rather positive. Of course, you have the folks that say, water and sewer, potholes, why should I pay for him to have that service? And I understand those arguments. If you're not following along, I totally understand those arguments. And you have the right to have that argument. But I think we're making progress, and I hope the council agrees that we're making progress in several different areas while we are being innovative and creative and offering new ideas, which is what I campaigned on. I'll just close by saying that Justin, Amy, Kevin, and I spent 3 weeks drafting what I think is a pretty thorough application to the state of New York, asking the state of New York to invest $10 million in our downtown. And it's disheartening to me that, we spent 3 weeks asking the state of New York to invest $10 million in our downtown, but we can't fathom investing $30,000 in our own downtown to modernize and embrace the SUNY community and give people something to do and try to attract somebody to stop downtown or tie up in the canal and take advantage of a service and an amenity I think we have. It's disheartening to me, but I understand your points. Councilor McLaughlin.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for bringing this up again. My main concern has always been the cost. This year it's covered. What are we going to do next year and the year after? With that said, I, like Sean, have had probably a 3-to-1 ratio of people being against this. But seeing the possibility of this, I think I'm going to support it. I think we'll find a way to pay for it one way or another. But I think it needs to be done, or we can just stick our head back in the sand and ignore everything else like everything's done throughout the past.
Thanks, Councilor. Any other comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor McLaughlin.
Get myself in trouble, but yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
No.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
No.
The resolution passes 5-2.
Clerk, please call Resolution 211.
To approve the bid submitted by Barrett Paving Materials Incorporated for the 2016 street milling and paving project.
Councilor McLaughlin, Councilor Emmons. This is our paving work for 2016. We published a list of paving projects before, and I just wanted to point out, last year, the name of the game is taking advantage of your CHIPS funding. CHIPS funding is reimbursed by the state for what you use. What always irritated me and some of the counselors I've served with is the last few years we never took full advantage of the available CHIPS funding, so we essentially leave free money on the table. It infuriated me. This year we are not doing that. However, our bid did come back slightly less than we thought, so we'll be able to maybe include a bit more. However, the Utica Street project at Big M's, repaving that is going to eat up any excess we had. So just to compare to last year, well, this year we're authorizing $603,000 in paving. Goes back to priorities, making sure we're taking care of the potholes. And we're doing it in the month of June. I always said we needed to move the schedule up. To compare that to last year, we only paved $408,000 worth of road, and we didn't do this resolution until July 13th last year. So we're ahead a month, and we're doing $200,000 more. With that, any comments? Councilor Walker.
Price of oil is way down. That's why it came in under the proposal before. So I think that's a good deal, and we can do more for less right now. So thank you.
Any other comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 212.
To approve the bid submitted by R.M. Burritt Motors Incorporated for the purchase of 3 new vehicles.
Councilor Walker, Councilor McLaughlin. Any comments? Clerk, Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes. These are motor pool cars, I take it?
Some of them, a couple of things. Most of these will go to the DPW. However, he needs 2. The third will allow him to actually take the third and kick a vehicle over to wastewater. Well, actually, it'll kick it over to the water plant because right now the meter reader's driving around the big water plant truck, which makes absolutely no sense. So he'll kick a car to the water plant, and wastewater desperately needs a vehicle, so the truck will kick over to wastewater. Any other questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 213.
To approve the new fee schedule for water meters.
Councilor Emmons, Councilor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds? Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 214.
To approve the attendance at the New York State Fire Academy Recruit Firefighter Training Program to be held July 24th, 2016 through October 6th, 2016 in Montour Falls, New York, at the request of Jeff McRoby, Fire Chief.
Councilor Cordino, Councilor Emmons. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 215.
To waive the rules of the Common Council to present Resolution Number 216 from the floor without committee consideration.
Councilor Van Buren, Councilor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 216.
To authorize the mayor to execute a contract with Paymentus for credit and debit card capability within city departments.
Councilor Walker, Councilor Van Buren. This goes back to putting credit cards in City Hall and other city buildings. The first vendor had some complications with the systems that we had, so we just had to switch vendors. Actually, it's a better move because the capabilities that this system has, they have some extra capabilities. Not sure if we'll use them or not. I hope so, but we're just switching the vendor. Comments? Councilor Walker.
Again, I'd like to thank Debbie Cole, City Chamberlain, for getting this together. It's been a long time coming because we lost a lot of money in the past down in the marina, and I appreciate the work she's done with that. Thank you.
Comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
I have a motion to adjourn. Counselor Emmons, Counselor Reynolds. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Emmons?
Yes.
Counselor Walker? Counselor Gozick?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Cordino?
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Meeting's adjourned.